Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to join a new ball of yarn to your existing work. It's inevitable in knitting that you will run out of yarn, and some people feel that they have to start joining a new ball of yarn at the beginning or the end of their work so that they can hide the knots or the connection of the yarn or the bumps that may show up in their work. Well, this method you will not have to worry about that because you will be able to join your yarn seamlessly. There will be no knots, no bumps. A lot of the times you wouldn't even notice where you've joined the yarn. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Here I have 3 different sizes of needles, darning needles for the different weight of yarn. So that would probably be for a chunkier yarn. I use that middle one there for maybe a worsted or a DK weight, and that's probably when I would use that needle for sock yarn or maybe baby yarn sometimes. So it really is just depending on the weight of the yarn, and you will know that once you pick up the needle and you try to thread it through, and it feels too big, then you just need to adjust the size of needles. So you can get these needles anywhere in knitting stores. They have them. But today I'm using a chunkier yarn. So I'm just going to show you how to join the yarn. So I've done a tiny little swatch here and on a chunky yarn. And I ran out of yarn. So what I'm going to do, so this is the end of the yarn on my work that I have been working on. So you're just going to thread that through your needle, your darning needle. Now, I don't like to leave too much of a tail because that would just mean that I would have to work the tail into my stitches later on, and I really try to avoid having to do extra work when I'm done. I would try to limit the length of that tail so that I don't have to, hopefully I don't have to work the tail in. So you pull it close to the end of the tail, and you're going to turn your needle around opposite to your tail, and you're going to just remember that you have to leave a tail long enough that it doesn't fall out of your needle while you're trying to do this. So you're going to take your darning needle and you're just going to run it through the center of your yarn. So it doesn't have to be exact as long as you can feel that it's going right through the center of your yarn. So I'm just going to just work that in. And sometimes it won't be in the center, and it doesn't matter as long as the majority of the length, your needle is inside the yarn. And you do that for about 2.5 inches. So that looks about right. And you notice that there's a loop at the end of your needle because you had turned your needle around. So what you're going to do now is you're going to take your new ball of yarn and you're going to thread it right through that loop. So see that loop there? You're going to take your new ball of yarn and just pull it right through the loop. So here you've got your old tail and the new ball of yarn. So you will hold the end of the yarn together with the working yarn or the yarn that you'll be working with. Just hold it so that you can pull it through. So now we're just going to pull it right through the needle, or right through the yarn rather. You're going to pull right through. Okay, and there's that tail that I had tried so hard to hide. And so now you have this end, so you're going to do the same thing. What you're going to do is pull it through the hole, the loop there, and now you're going to thread your needle the same way that you had done just earlier. Thread it through the needle. Again, leave a little bit of a tail, and now you're going to the other side of the loop. So you don't want to go through this side because you won't be able to pull your needle through. So there's the loop. You're going to go to the opposite side. So what I do is I will pull that loop down. And again, you're going to thread it right through the middle of your yarn. So you're just going to run your needle through. Again, we'll go for about 2.5 inches. Doesn't have to be exact, just sort of gauge it, and if it looks like it's about 2.5 inches, then you can stop. Just about there. And then I'm going to just pull it right through again. This time, don't worry about the tail. You want the tail to go right through, so you're just going to slide the needle right through. There's the tail. Take your needle off. And now you're going to basically take the two ends of your yarn, so the yarn that you'd been working with and your new yarn, and you're just going to pull it straight through. There you go. And you can see that I'm pulling fairly tightly and it hasn't slide out. Now your yarn is almost invisible. So I'm just going to go ahead and knit this so that you can see. And this is why you don't have to worry about joining your yarn at the beginning or at the end of your work, because I promise you it will be just invisible. You wouldn't even, well, unless you look for it really hard, you wouldn't even notice when your yarn, when your new yarn or your old yarn has joined up. So I've just gone through the stitch where the tail is just at the beginning of my joining yarn there. And you're just going to work it through. I'm going to do one more row just so that you can see clearly. Now that's the end of the yarn that I've joined, so I'm just going to work this through. And there's no bulk. Even though this is a bulky yarn, sometimes when you join a new bulky yarn, it gets really bulky and bumpy, but you would hardly feel it with this. So here we are. We've got 2 rows that I've worked in. Here's the front. Absolutely invisible. You don't see the stitches. Pardon me, you don't see the joining yarn. And here's the back of it. Maybe a little bit of a tail, but that's the reason why I left such a short tail, so I don't have to work that tail back into my stitch in the end. But really and truly, you hardly even noticed where you've joined your yarn. Now you just continue knitting to the end of your work. I hope you've enjoyed this video.